Hi, everyone. Welcome to the event. I'm Nir, founder of Palo Alto Networks, and I want to talk about complete zero trust network security. Maybe a little bit of background. If you really think about it, a lot of the technology that we use in cybersecurity is about establishing trust. Trusting different things. 27 years ago when I started building firewalls, it was about being able to trust IP addresses. Someone was trying to connect to our infrastructure. If they came from here, we trust it. If they came from here, we don't trust it. We had antivirus 20-something years ago to trust files. You can trust this file, you cannot trust this file, all based on signatures and so on. And then over time, we had more challenges trusting things. For example, we couldn't trust content, so we invented the IPS. We couldn't trust content further because the IPS only was looking for signatures. So we invented the sandbox. We couldn't trust users. In the beginning, we trusted users based on their IP addresses. Then at some point, we couldn't trust users. Okay, we invented the identity and access management market and so on. So really, a lot of things that we've done over the years with cybersecurity were about establishing trust. Trust for a packet, trust for a connection, trust for a user, trust for content, and so on. And the interesting thing is that in different scenarios, we were using different trust decisions, and we had different things that we trusted implicitly. For example, when an employee was working in an office trying to access a local application, okay, we don't need to authenticate the employee. We don't need to check anything about the application. We'll just let them do that. Then it changed. When an employee was remote, okay, we need to authenticate the employee when they use remote access VPN and then let them access whatever they want. And later we added some more checks around that and more checks. And as applications started getting further and further away from our infrastructure, and as employees started getting further and further from our infrastructure, we made more and more trust decisions as part of that process. Now let's fast forward to today. A lot of changes over the years, accelerated with the recent pandemic. Now we have users working all over the place, different locations, different situations, different scenarios, different devices, accessing different applications in different locations. And it's not clear what we can trust and what we cannot trust. That's where zero trust comes in. With zero trust, we don't make any assumptions around what we can or cannot trust. We verify everything. We verify the identity of the user. We verify the application. We verify the content. Sometimes we can, sometimes we cannot trust content. We verify the device that the user is using. We verify everything. Zero trust isn't new. We've realized maybe 10 years ago that we needed the concept of zero trust, of verifying everything before we allow something to be accessed. I think what's different today is that now we are realizing that we have many different zero trust situations. We have a remote user trying to access a SaaS application. We have an on-premise user trying to access a local application. We have a partner trying to access an application. We have an employee trying to access a SaaS application versus a traditional application, and so on. All these situations are different and they require different zero trust mechanisms. The way the industry has evolved, like in many other cases, is to take each and every these zero trust situations, zero trust architectures, and deliver them in a different way with a different system. You have a user trying to access a SaaS application, we'll use a proxy. You have a local user trying to access a local application, we'll deliver it with a local firewall or something like that. You have a partner trying to access an application, we'll do it with SSL VPN or a reverse proxy, and so on. It's becoming a mess. It's becoming something that is very difficult to procure, deploy, manage, audit, and so on. We need a different approach. What we need is a different architecture. We need an architecture that works for the reality of today, the reality of we have a hybrid work environment, and it's going to become more and more hybrid, and employees are going to be more and more mobile, and are going to work 2 days a week from home and 2 days a week in the office and 1 day in a coffee shop. And they're going to move to exotic islands in the Pacific, and they're going to move to different towns and different places and all over the world. We need an architecture that takes all these different zero trust situations and combines them into one system that takes care of all these use cases. We call that a complete zero trust network security architecture. In this complete zero trust network security architecture, we want to take all users, whether they are our employees, contractors, they work for our partners, whatever, all devices, laptops, mobile devices, devices that are under our control, not under our control, whatever, all locations, whether the device and the user are in our office, locally, close to the application, at home, at a coffee shop, vacationing or relocating to the other side of the planet, and so on. And of course, we want to deal with all applications, whether these applications are in traditional data center, whether they are in a private cloud, in public clouds, whether these are SaaS applications. We want to apply our zero trust decisions based on context. Meaning, for example, we might allow a user to connect to an application from one device, but not from another device. Of course, we want to allow different users to do different things or trust them in a different way. We want to trust different applications in different ways based on their profile. So all the decisions, all the zero trust decisions that we make need to be based on complete context: user, application, device, and whatever other information we might have. I mentioned content. Many zero trust systems ignore the content of the traffic, meaning they make the zero trust decision at the beginning of the connection, user, device, application, and forget about it. Remember, a lot of cybersecurity has evolved also around trusting or not trusting content. We cannot trust files that are being transferred, that they're not going to exploit a vulnerability. We have to run them through different mechanisms for determining whether we can trust them or not. We cannot trust domain names. We cannot trust URLs. There are different things that throughout the entire life of the connection, we have to keep checking, keep deciding whether to trust them or not. So a big part of a zero trust architecture, a complete zero trust network security architecture, is to secure the content of the connection and to ask ourselves continuously, can we trust this content or can't we? And similarly to trusting or not trusting content, we also have to make decisions as to whether we can trust or not trust behaviors. Throughout the entire life of the connection, we have to look at what's being done and ask ourselves whether the behavior of the user or the behavior of the application or other behaviors that we can monitor, whether they're right or wrong, whether we can trust them or not, and at any point able to cut the connection if we cannot trust a behavior. To achieve this zero trust network security architecture, we need to support different situations, different scenarios. Sometimes we need a physical firewall between a local user and a local data center. Sometimes we need a virtual firewall between a user and an application deployed in the public cloud. Sometimes we need a container form factor for applications deployed in containerized environments. Sometimes we need cloud-delivered network security, cloud-delivered firewalls for users trying to access cloud applications and not pass through our infrastructure at all. Luckily, Palo Alto Networks has all these different components. We have the same firewall engine delivered as a physical firewall, as a virtual firewall, as a container firewall, as a cloud-delivered firewall, with all the same security services available to help us with content zero trust and with behavioral zero trust, meaning not trusting content, not trusting behaviors, and so on, in a consistent way. So such that when users move from a local network accessing a local application to a coffee shop trying to access a SaaS application, to their home trying to access a public cloud application, and they do it with different devices, with a desktop, with a mobile device, with a laptop, and so on, they get exactly the same consistent zero trust treatment. We verify the device, we verify the user, we verify the application, we verify the content, we verify the behavior, regardless of who the user is, which device they use, which application they go to, and which is the right technology to do that. Again, physical, virtual, container, or cloud delivered. As far as I know, Palo Alto Networks is the only vendor in the world that can do that. It's the only vendor in the world that was created to be able to do something like that. To summarize, the future of work is here. Employees can work wherever they want, however they want. They work in different locations, on-premise, off-premise, home, coffee shop, and so on. They use all kinds of devices to access all kinds of applications. And we need a consistent way of applying zero trust concepts to that. Palo Alto Networks uniquely delivers with its network security solutions. Thank you very much for listening, and see you soon.